and welcome to the Colorado Springs Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. We are in our series of cocktails and conversations. My name is Moni. I'm the vice chair for the Hispanic Chamber, and I have the pleasure to have here with me Yeniffer Behrens. How do you say your last name?
Behrens.
How do you pronounce it? Just Behrens?
Yes, Behrens, and you said it in Spanish. Bien, Behrens.
Behrens. ¿Es español o inglés?
You know, it's a German name, but in Spanish, se dice Behrens, Yeniffer Behrens, and in English, it's Jennifer Behrens, and it's Jennifer with a Y, because you know, in Spanish, the Y is the J sound, right? It's a softer J, and then the J is an H sound, like Juan, Julio, Jose. So, there you
right. I love it. ¿Y cómo te gusta que te digan, Yeniffer or Jennifer?
Yeniffer. In English, Jenny, like Jen, you know,
okay.
With the hard J. And in Spanish, pues, you know, they say Jenny. Porque, you know, in Spanish, it's like, it's not hard or soft. It's like in the middle. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
I totally love it. Es un placer. Before we start, you know, I would like to give a shout out to our sponsors. The Culture Office of the Pikes Peak region wants to remind you that October is Arts Month. And a big shout out to Jay Billups. Jay Billups Media is making this live stream possible. So thank you so much, Jay. Y bueno, Yeniffer, vamos a entrar a la carne de la plática, que a mí me encanta platicar. You know, one thing, when I was reading about you, researching you, I was reading watching all your videos. And first of all, estoy muy emocionada, de veras que he visto tu trabajo, and I've never been much of a TV goer, pero de ver todo lo que has hecho definitivamente me ha inspirado. So let's go back and let's start from the beginning. You were born in Caracas.
I was born in Caracas, Venezuela, and I was 4 years old when my parents came to the United States. My grandfather on my dad's side was a diplomat, and he was the ambassador of Venezuela all over the United States. So my dad had the opportunity to bring us to the United States, and he wanted me to be raised here and my brother, and you know, just give us that opportunity to be bilingual and to have a better future.
Of course. And so you moved here when you moved to Washington when you were 3.
Right.
Do you remember when you were 3?
You know, I remember when I was 3 in Venezuela. It was really interesting because I have just a few memories. We lived in a second floor, and I would look out the window and out the balcony for when my mom was coming home. And, you know, because we lived, and you could see the sidewalk in the street. It was like we lived on a hill, so I could always see her walking when she was getting home with my babysitter. And I remember just being so happy when she was getting home. Like, I knew that if I looked out, my mom was going to be walking up that sidewalk. So I remember that. And then I remember coming to the United States, and in Washington, D.C., it was so different. It was so cold because in Venezuela, it's a very tropical climate. So it was definitely for me a completely different experience. And then when I went to school for the first time, which was first grade, I didn't go to kindergarten. I remember crying. Like, I was 5 and a half, and I didn't want to go to school, and it was snowing. And it was like, I remember my mom going, "You're going to be fine, vas a estar bien." English, you know, and I was learning English. So I was speaking Spanish, and I was scared because I didn't know the language. I didn't know English. And so, yes, it was a really big culture shock. So I do remember those first years in Washington, D.C. and, you know, kids are just kids.
Right.
But I remember being made fun of when I would say, like I would say choose and share instead of chair. You know, I got those mixed up all the time. So,
nice.
So from there, we moved to Miami when I was about 9. And then I grew up in Miami. And in Miami, it's like, if you don't know Spanish, pues.
Love it. So what was it like growing up and your grandfather being a diplomat, you know? How did that feel?
Well, I mean, I gotta say that, you know, unfortunately, I didn't really get to know my grandfather very well. He passed away when I was about 9, which I think that's why we moved to Miami. Um, but but I remember my dad being very proud, and we had the opportunity to come to this country, and he's just someone that I've always admired, and his work ethic, and to be able to get into that position is just a huge pride in our family.
What would you say was your most memorable moment growing up?
Wow, my most memorable moment growing up. Let's see. Oof, so many. But I gotta say that mi quinceañera,
Okay. ¿Por qué?
because I remember my mom always just talking to me about me. Cuando cumplas tus 15 años, oh, esa fiesta va a ser, because, you know, my mom and my dad is, you know, in heaven listening right now. But he was a mi universita, mi universo. You're going to be, you know, it's going to be the best day of your life. Like, I grew up really looking forward to my quinceañera. And when it came, it was literally a 6-month production. Like,
Nice.
my mom saved so much money, and it was like all the 14 couples, we had to start rehearsing the dances.
El baile, el vals.
Los chambalanes. I mean, it was like a wedding. Like, seriously, like, if we went to New York to pick my dresses,
Love it.
the material for my dress, we went to Esposabela. Like, I mean, it was just like a dream quinceañera for me. So when I see the shows, I'm like, man, I know I would have been on one of those shows. Because mine was pretty memorable. You know, my high school friends still talk about it. We just had our class reunion last year, and there was a lot of them that were part of the court.
Nice.
I always remember my quinces.
Love it. So here's a question I like to ask todos los latinos que entrevisto. ¿Nunca te pegó tu mamá con una chancla?
Oh, no, con una chancla no.
No.
Pero sí, era el no, the pellizco, like, like the pellizco, like with the smile, like, you're like, oh, I better shut because I'm sure much.
Because if you don't, cuando llegues a la casa, olvídate.
Yes, he's big on that.
That is so awesome. So I did read that when you were 6 years old, you made a decision to be a performer. Tell me about how you remember about that.
Well, back in DC, that's another memorable moment. The first time I saw Grease, oh my God, I fell in love with John.
I got chills.
I'm multiplying. And I'm loose. I mean,
Think control.
I mean, John Travolta and Olivia Newton-John for me it was like, that is the world I want to live in. Like, I just like transported myself. My little body just wanted to be there, and I felt so in love with them. My mom and my dad, they bought me, I don't know if you remember the big record that it was like you opened it up and it was like the yearbook with all the pictures, and they bought me for Christmas my own little record player, and I would play that over and over.
It was on repeat.
And I learned all the songs, I learned all the dances, and I just wanted to be Olivia Newton-John. You know, I just happened to be brunette, but it's okay, right? And then the Brady Bunch. So right now we're talking and I'm like, wow, the Brady Bunch for me was also just that dream that I wanted to be in that kind of family, like a big family, you know, it was 4 of us. So I always like, imagine just living in such a big family and then just the little squares that would
Yeah.
pop. It was just magical for me. And I didn't understand how TV worked. Like, how in the world are these people inside of this box?
Yeah.
I literally thought people were in there. So I would go up to the, you know, the vent that the televisions would have back then. I would like look in and there.
That is so awesome. Who was your favorite character on the Brady Bunch? Who did you relate to the most?
Well, I love Cindy, the little one. She was so adorable.
She was my favorite.
Mine too. She was so cute. And you know, and I was pretty much closer to her age. So I'm like, I saw myself as her. And then the third one that really impacted me, and I said, that's it. This is what I'm doing. I am Wonder Woman. I am Wonder Woman. Like, hello, Linda Carter, how gorgeous. I saw myself in like beautiful brunette, like the same color. And I'm like, whoa. I was Wonder Woman for almost like 3 years in a row for Halloween.
Love it.
So there you go.
It's just so amazing how people just know what they want to be, even from childhood. I remember when I was around 6, 7 years old that I called Sábado Gigante. And when I called them, they're like, how old are you? ¿Cuántos años tú tienes? And I said, no, es que tú tienes que decirle a un adulto que tiene que hablar. And I was like, oh, okay. So I went and I told my mom, I was like, tienes que hablarle a Sábado Gigante. And she's like, ¿para qué? You know? And she's like, ¿para qué quieres ir para allá? And I was like, pues yo no sé, yo nomás quiero ir, you know? One thing, I just loved the microphone. Yo agarraba hasta zapatos y hablaba en micrófono como si fuera micrófono. Who would have known, right? So, so with that being,
right? I mean, it's in your soul. It just like oozes out. You just start doing it, and that's it. It calls you.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful thing.
It is so amazing. So with that being said, and speaking of Sábado Gigante, you had a recurring role on La Familia Fernández, produced by Univision Sábado Gigante. So I want to know all about that.
Oh my God, that was so much fun. That was my first recurring role. I couldn't even believe it. I was just so excited. Roblan was so wonderful. And I got to do theater with him as well in El Teatro Trail Theater in La Calle Ocho, and Spanish theater, and it was so much fun. I loved it. I was La Sobrina, and it was just so much fun to be part of that family. And it was a dream come true because in Miami, you know, there wasn't a lot of series happening per se, right? So I embraced the fact that, I speak Spanish, so it'd be bilingual. I mean, what a superpower, right? To be bilingual, fully bilingual, and you're able to work in both markets, right? So, and just go back and forth in each market. And Sábado Gigante was one of the first places that opened up their arms to me and said, okay, you know? I remember, oh, what a story. I competed in La Mujer Ideal contest with Carlos Ponce. There was a section of the competition that you had to do a soap scene, and we had to slap him. Oh my God. I slapped him, Moni, so hard. He like did a 360 and fell on the couch. I mean, I was like, oh my God, I was so excited and so much energy, but I crushed it. I killed it.
Love it.
And I ended up, we tied. It was actually a tie between me and the other girl. And because the audience they could not decide, you know, but it was so much fun. It was great. And then after that, I got the opportunity to be in La Familia Fernández, and it's just fantastic.
So did you work with La Cuatro as well?
I know I didn't. I did get to meet her, which was so much fun. She was hilarious.
I bet.
We didn't get to work together.
Okay.
Mhm.
And how did your family feel about you being an actress in the beginning? Were they very supporting? Did they question a lot of things? Because siendo una mujer es una cosa, siendo una mujer latina es otra cosa.
Um, bueno, I knew that I wanted to be an actress since I was little, but I didn't have the resources. I didn't know how to do it myself. Obviously, I'm 6, right?
Right.
My parents had no clue how to get me in it either. And I would ask them, and my mom would be like, "Pues yo no sé cómo hacer eso. Eso es muy difícil." Pero so I kind of put it. It was a childhood dream that I needed. I just put it away, right? But she's like, but you could do dance and you can do this and everything that you could do in school, get involved in school. And then it wasn't until high school in Miami that I actually started competing in pageants. And then in sophomore year during my quinceañera, that's when I said, you know what, mommy, I really want to pursue my acting. But it was funny because I didn't really say it like that. We were at a lunch and I said, okay, I have 3 choices, because that's when you start thinking about college and what's your career going to be, right? Like right before junior year. And I said, okay, I went to a Catholic school, La Salle High School in Miami, shout out. And I've always been very spiritual. That's one thing that my mom, my grandma, and my family, they, raised me Catholic. And I said, I would love to be a nun. I love God. Like I love helping people, and I have a really strong connection with Jesus. And so that's so I started, this is my first choice. It's something that I would want to start wondering, because there was a lot of retreats, and in the retreats I really had a lot of breakthroughs and epiphanies of just connecting spiritually. And then she was just looking at me, tranquilita. And I said, and then she goes, and the second choice? And I said, well, I love kids, I love babies, so a pediatrician would be super cool. I don't know if we can afford medical school. I don't know. I don't think we can, but that's something that I would love to maybe explore too. And she's like, that's a beautiful career, and yeah, children are wonderful. And I mean, she's like, we would find a way to make it happen. And then she said, but it's a very long career. She says, es una carrera bien larga.
Okay.
Like, yeah, I know. And then she goes, and third choice. And I said, well, that's when I kind of hesitated, because I didn't know what she was going to say, but really, that's my passion, right? So I said, and then the third one is, pues me encantaría ser actriz. I would love to be an actress. And she looks at me, and there's a pause, and I'm just bracing myself.
Abrió los ojos.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, I'm waiting for it. And then she's like, bueno, olvídate de ser monja, porque yo quiero ser abuela.
Oh, nice.
Being a nun, because I want to be a grandmother. And I was like, okay. Like, you want to be a pediatrician, that's a very, very long career. But again, that's not a bad choice. But if I were you, I would be an actress, because that's actually what I wanted to do.
Bingo.
I started laughing, and she started laughing. She goes, you're too beautiful not to be an actress. And she's like, and I've seen you crying, and it's so fake crying. And it was such a moment, for me, I have my mom's support, and I felt also almost like an obligation, like this is what she wanted to do, so now I'm going to do it for both of us.
Nice.
And yeah, and here we are 27 years later.
That is so awesome. Now, you made your film debut with Sylvester Stallone's blockbuster, The Specialist. How did you land that role?
I auditioned for it. In Miami, there it's a right to work state, so that means that you can have more than one agent. You can have more than one representative, right?
Nice.
So after I did 2 years in Miami-Dade Community College South Campus, woo, shout out, drama department. I and also I did a summer semester in North Carolina School of the Arts. And after I came back, I realized I'm like, you know, I had friends that were like, you can get pictures and start auditioning because you've been studying for like 2.5, almost 3 years straight. And so that's what I did. I got pictures done and I submitted to over, I don't know, 15 agents. I ended up getting 10 agents interested in me and they all signed me.
Nice.
So if one agent couldn't get me in the door for one audition, the other one could, because as you know, it's all about contacts. It's all about who you have business relationships with, right? So that's the beauty of starting in a right to work state, because the limitation of auditions is not there, because here, if you start in LA, you only start with one agent and you are limited to their contacts and how much clout they have to get you in the door. So I'm really grateful that I started in Miami. So to make the long story short, I ended up getting the audition and it was a schoolgirl on the bus. That's the description, schoolgirl on the bus. And I still had my high school uniform. I wore my high school uniform to the audition.
Nice.
And I auditioned and I went back to the callback and then I booked it.
Nice.
It was amazing. It was amazing. And what was really special about this project is that I ended up booking this in a pickup, not a reshoot, but they had already shot the whole film. They realized that they needed two more scenes. I ended up being cast in that bus scene. That's so epic, right?
Wow.
I got in at the tail end of the production, right? And so the premiere was literally like 2 months later.
Wow.
And guess when it came out in theaters?
When?
On my birthday.
What?
Yes. October 7th. And to me, that was like the biggest omen. Like I felt like, wow, I'm supposed to be doing this. It's my very first big film. And I get chills. I just thinking about it.
Es que lo que es para ti, And now you've done a variety of films. You've traveled around the world. Tell me a little bit about that. What was the most interesting country that you traveled to and why?
Okay, so my traveling around the world actually was the death of my dad was the catalyst to that. My dad passed away in 1997. I moved here to LA to pursue the acting, and from within a month he got lung cancer. He was only 47 years old, and it just took him in a month. And so it was a really huge shock for me and my family. So I went to Venezuela. My mom was there with my sister, and I had to go to spend time to heal. And then a friend of mine invited me to go to Peru. And it's like, Machu Picchu is a really spiritual place. As you know, I'm very spiritual, right? And I started reading The Alchemist and just started doing reading a lot of spiritual books. And I just felt like I needed to disconnect and just heal. And so Machu Picchu was amazing. I went back to Venezuela, and I had been obsessed with going to India. And it so happens that my mom went to school with someone that was a spiritualist that took groups of people from Venezuela to India on on tours, spiritual tours, you know. So literally he would train a group of 25 people. This is where we're going to travel. And they traveled. So there was one spot left. And my mom, for my birthday that year, surprised me because she knew I wanted to go to India. And he so happened to like tell her, oh, I have an extra cupo. Si quieres, tu hija la puedes inscribir y pues yo te la cuido, no te preocupes, right?
Nice.
And that was a really huge surprise. So for me, going to India has been the most incredible trip of my life, because I ended up I'll never forget going to Agra and going into the Taj Mahal on a camel, but the camel was pulling the cart, and we were all there, and the guide said, who wants to get on the camel? And of course I was like, me!
Yeah.
And I climbed the cart all the way through to get on the camel. And I literally, like, we walked, you know, it just took us inside of the Taj Mahal at like 6 a.m. and the sun was rising. It was just the most amazing experience. I still remember that. That's definitely the most memorable place I've been to.
Nice. Now, you've done what a lot of Latinos haven't done. Very few have done, which is, you know, getting into both markets, the general market and the Hispanic market. That is so admiring, like I told you in the beginning. And you know, I really wish we can see more of that in the future, because, you know, hay tantos Latinos que tienen tanto talento y no son vistos, you know. Now, ¿qué es un consejo que les puedes dar? What kind of advice can you give, you know, aspiring artists that are Latinos and that want to get into the industry? What would be your...
Okay, well, definitely get in touch with me. My husband Mauricio Mendoza, he's Colombian, I'm Venezuelan, and we've both been in the industry for over 25 years each. So together we have over 50 years of experience in the business. And we started our online school called Shortcut to Hollywood. And we teach practical tools on how to get into the business. We help parents navigate, you know, the business, because my parents had no clue. I would have started when I was 5, but instead I started when I was 19. So I feel like I missed out on my whole childhood of being a child actor, because my parents had no idea where to start. So I just say, if your child wants to pursue, right now we are so blessed that we have the virtual world, and you can Google coaches. And so shortcut to Hollywood.biz is our new coaching and mentoring business. And we give 15 minutes of free consultation to anyone that's interested in starting in the business. And we started this about a year ago because we want to pay it forward. We have children that are in the business, and we've also, navigated them. We've gotten them into agencies, they've been working, and so we know exactly what it takes. And so it's just about researching online and interviewing teachers and mentors so that you find your fit. You got to study, and if you're a graduate from high school and you're like, I definitely want to pursue acting, the first thing you must do is train and understand the mindset. Like, we have a lot of voices in our head, right? Limiting beliefs. that we don't even know we have, right? Or there might be cultural or whatever it is. It's starting to really work your mindset and understanding that you could do anything you want. You just need to believe in yourself first.
Yep. Awesome. Now, you have film credits on A Day Without a Mexican, After School, El Contratista, Fighting for Freedom, American Flyer, Por Tu Culpa. And, you also did some faith-based films, El Pastor, The Law of Moses.
Yes.
Your most recent film this year was Torrance with Ben Affleck. And what was it like to work with Ben Affleck? I was like, oh my gosh, that's so awesome.
Well, yes, Torrance is now The Way Back, so you can definitely find it online as The Way Back. And I got to tell you that it was so exciting to book that role because, again, going back to visualizing and really working your spirituality, I want to show you something. I will be right back, you guys. Don't go away.
Okay. It's so awesome to be able to feature Latinos that are doing so much stuff. Okay, show me. I want to see.
This is my vision board. It's I need to kind of like I need to frame this. I did this vision board in 2015. I love doing vision boards like the first day of the year, like on New Year's Eve, like after we do the champagne and eat the grapes, right?
Yeah.
You eat grapes, right?
Yes.
So then we do vision board parties, right? So after midnight, then whoever wants to join in the vision board creation, they can. Well, look who I put on my vision board.
Oh, wow. That is so awesome.
Mr. Ben Affleck right there. And to me, it's about never giving up and having so much determination. If it's what you love to do, really just go for it and believe in yourself and don't allow the no's and the rejection to stop you. And it's easier said than done because I'm not going to say that I've never felt stopped or that I've never felt rejected because I have. There's been a lot of no's in my arena. But it's having that spiritual tenacity and faith that it's going to be okay. You're going to be fine. And if you need time to heal, like I took time to heal when my dad passed, and it was 18 months that I put everything in storage here in LA and I left. And I came back and I worked more than ever. So it's allowing yourself to really be a human being. Like acting is what you want to do. It's not who you are. As an artist, we say, oh, this is, I can only concentrate. Like for me, I can only concentrate on my career. I can't get involved with anybody. I don't have space for any of that. And then when my father passed away, I realized I wasn't living my life full out. I was just, very closed off to getting close to anybody. And I realized that, wow, I just lost my dad. It felt like half of me was gone. And life is too short not to allow love in your life, and to really, just because you're pursuing a career. So it's about having that balance of your spiritual life. You're pursuing what you love to do, but who are you? Like really, really invest in yourself and your self-development. That is number one, first and foremost. And so when I booked The Way Back, and I remembered when I got the call back, I was like, how does this sound? I'm like, oh my God, it's Ben Affleck's movie. And then I went to my garage and I'm like, something is like gnawing at me to go to my garage that I had, I had footed away already. And when I'm like, something said, look at your stuff. And when I looked at my vision board and I saw him, I was like, oh my God. And I'm
well, and next to your vision board, next to his picture, it says all things are possible.
Yes.
That is right. Oh my gosh, that is so awesome.
So
I
it's great. Again, as an actor, we shoot a lot of other scenes that don't end up in the movie, or that end up actually one of the other scenes that I had with him. They ran out of time and they actually ended up cutting the day of, like, we were already there for 12 hours and they're like, we're not going to get to this. We'll do it on the pickup day. So it was like, we'll see if we're able to or not, and it just didn't happen. But I'm so grateful that I'm part of it, that I'm in it, and I got to meet him and everyone else, the director. Oh, wonderful director, and so it was a wonderful experience.
Speaking of directors, you had a directorial debut in 2017, 2018. What got you into directing?
Like my husband says, well, you direct our lives, so you're a director.
That's right.
Director at heart. If we're a Latina woman, right, we're directing every day, all day long. Oh no.
Todo el día.
Right?
Yeah.
So, Mi Amor ended up being an idea. One of my best friends, Rochelle, her daughter is pursuing acting. She's going to Carnegie Mellon, and I've known her since she was born. And Adrian, my son, so they're only like 9 months apart. And Adrian's also in the business, and they're both very mature for their age. So back then we were thinking, we should create something for them because they were auditioning for roles that, like the Disney roles or the Nickelodeon high energy roles, that they just couldn't relate to that. I'm like, let's just create a light comedy dramedy for them, so that for their calling cards, And so I just created the story with a friend of mine. I had the story in my head, but my friend Allison is the writer. So I said, okay, I need you to help me with structuring the writing. I had the story in my head. Help me put it on paper, right? Because it's a completely different animal. And so then we just started collaborating with Rochelle, then collaborating with the kids. The kids were like, no, we wouldn't say it like that. So they would start playing the scene, and then in their own language, that's how we wrote it. And so it just came about where it's a family affair. So
Nice.
True Form Films, we have our company, True Form Films, and we produce independent films. And that's where I created True Form Films to create opportunities for us that we normally wouldn't get in the industry, and then also to create opportunities for others.
That is so amazing. I love it. And you won your first Excellence in Directing award at the prestigious ID Wild International Festival of Cinema. Well, how did that feel like?
Wow, that was so much fun. That was I always cry. When I'm happy, I cry. When I'm sad, I cry. When I'm excited, and I just was. I was elated. I was just so because it was the woman. It was the women's category.
Mm.
Oh no, it's inside. The Austin. It's a category for women filmmakers.
Mm.
It was really special because, as a Latina, it's great for us to branch out. And even if you think it's that voice in your head that might say, what are you doing? Like, you're an actress. Like, really? You're going to direct now? That's the voice that comes out. And it's like, yeah, why not? Right? And it's believing in yourself again. It's all about that mindset. So when you get acknowledged for your work and you get good feedback, it's like God saying, keep going.
Yeah.
Yeah. And even when people don't give you good feedback, and if you really, really want to do it, you continue to do it. You just need to really be true to yourself. Be true to that voice within you. you know.
That is so awesome. So, siguiente pregunta.
Yes.
¿Te gusta cantar? Do you like to sing?
You know, Moni, I love to sing.
I love it. ¿Dónde cantas? ¿En el baño, en el carro, estás trabajando?
I sing. I'm doing, our 11:11 show. My husband and I sing. He's a singer. He's a musical theater major, so he sings. So I've learned during our show, we have these little like almost little jingles that after our meditation we go at the end. We start a meditation, a daily meditation, which is we start with forgiveness of others and forgiveness of ourselves, and then we go into love and gratitude. And then we finish off with celebration, right? To celebrate our lives, celebrate any win, small, medium, large, it doesn't matter. Because a lot of times we don't acknowledge what we've accomplished in the day. We're like, I'm guilty. I've gotten so much better at that. But the overachievers and the perfectionists, I am a recovering perfectionist. And so it's one of those things where you're like, you got to celebrate where you're at. Every day, every step you take towards your goals and towards your dreams and in your life is a celebration. It's an accomplishment. So then we end up with celebrate. So then we go celebrate, dance to the music, celebrate. And so he's like, really with his singing voice, and I'm like, oh.
That's so awesome. That's what makes your marriage stay alive. That is so awesome. Oye, so if I were to get into your car right now y prendo el radio, what am I going to hear?
Oh, Danza Curudo!
Don Omar.
Mark Anthony's Vivir la Vida. Vivir. Oh my God, I love that song. Love that song, yeah.
Awesome. And now we have something in common, which is really cool, is that we're able to go into the Spanish market, into the general market, because I did radio in English as well, and I did pretty much all the formats in Spanish that there are. So we're going to play a game.
Oh, okay.
Okay, do you like games?
Yes.
Okay, good. So what I do is I do a translation game, and I go out and I research different words que usan en Venezuela, in this case.
Okay.
Some learns I got to learn for the first time, and I was like, really? That is so funny. So I'm going to give you a word that they say in Venezuela, and you're going to tell me the meaning of it in English as well in Spanish, okay? So, you ready?
Ready.
Drum roll. First word, chévere.
Chévere means like super cool, padrísimo. For Mexicans, it would be padrísimo. So
Yes.
chévere for us is like.
Or chido.
For chizo?
Chido. Chido, eso está chido.
Chido.
Because I seen you did a lot of work in Mexico as well, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So I know you're familiar with the Mexican lingo as well. So this is gonna be fun.
When I moved from Miami to Cali, I had to pivot really fast and learn all the different ways of expressing. And I remember when I was auditioning for a commercial here, and I had to say padrísimo, and I'm like, what's padrísimo? Because that's all. And then the casting director that I worked with, Blanca Valdez, shout out to Blanca, she's awesome. And she's like, oh, that would be like chévere for you. And I'm like, oh, qué padre. I'm like, oh.
Nice.
Yeah. And chido is like, I think that's even more fresa. I've learned that fresa is if you're chilango
From Mexico City.
Mm-hmm.
Well, doing all the radio formats in Spanish, I kind of picked up so many So many terms. My family's actually from Ciudad Juarez, Chihuahua.
Oh, okay.
But I did stay in Mexico City for a while. Yeah, it's pretty fun. Okay, so let's go into the next word. Next word, chamo.
Chamo. Chamo means like buddy, you know, like it's a cool way of saying no, chamo, no me vengas con eso, you know, like buddy, don't tell me that, right? Like cuate, you know,
Cuate.
for Mexicans it would be cuate. For us is chamo, chama.
Yeah, I put compa,
Compa,
bro.
compa, bro. Yeah.
Nice. Okay, tal cual.
Tal cual. Tal cual is like me saying punto y aparte.
In English.
So tal cual is like I would say tal cual is like and so
Period.
period tal cual, it's like and so it is. So or actually, oh man, that's a hard one. Tal cual is like confirming something, like exactly tal cual.
Just as it is.
That just as it is. Just as it is. There. Oh, man, you missed that one.
Hey, I'm just learning as well, so don't feel bad. A ver, siguiente. Burda.
Oh my God, burda. That reminds me of my son's dad. His burda. That means a lot, like hell of, you know.
Hell of a lot. Y en español, español mexicano, ¿cómo se diría?
It's like, let me see. Como muchísimo.
Muchísimo. Good. I had montón, so that works.
Muchísimo, yeah.
Coroto.
Oh. That reminds me of my grandma. Ese coroto. So, vamos, yo me llamo mis corotos. So basically, it's your things, you know? I'm just taking my stuff, you know? It's like stuff, right?
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
Vaina.
Vaina.
That's a deep word, by the way, because in other parts of Latin America, it can mean so many things.
I think, I can't remember, maybe in no me vengas con esa vaina. So it's like basically, don't give me that crap, you know, like it's very like, you know, please.
Mueve esa vaina de ahí.
Right, that thing also, that's so true. Mueve esa vaina de ahí, but it's a negative connotation of like esa vaina, meaning like if they say it that way, it's because they're in a bad mood. It's like, move your stuff out of there, like just your crap, you know. I don't want to say the S word, but you know.
Ladilla.
Oh my God, ladilla. I used to say that so much. Crazy. I used to say that in high school. Que ladilla. It's like, oh, what a bugger. Like, oh my God, how annoying. So annoying. You're like a little crab, which the literal translation of ladilla is a crab.
Yeah. En español mexicano.
En español mexicano, pues, no sé. ¿Qué güey o no?
No, crab. I just put crab. So cangrejo.
Un cangrejo, sí, un cangrejo.
Yeah. But you wouldn't say que cangrejo.
It just doesn't sound right. Que ladilla is like, que ladilla.
Cotufas.
Cotufas. That's popcorn. And my husband and I are always teaching my daughter differently. Because when I say cotufa, he was like, what the hell is cotufa? And then I said, oh, it's popcorn, right? Because my sister-in-law was asking him for some cotufa the other day. And Juliana is like, what is that, mommy? And I go, it's popcorn. And then Mauricio's like, eso es palomitas de maíz. And I'm like, palomitas de maíz. Like, cotufa. Popcorn is cotufa.
Y en México serían nomás palomitas.
Palomitas. Yeah, that's funny.
That is funny. Now this one is an interesting one, okay? Are you ready for this next one?
Already.
Okay. Next one. Echarse los palos.
Oh, echarse los palos is like, let's get some drinks going.
Let's get some drinks going. En español mexicano.
Pues, tomarse unos tragos? No sé.
That's what you would mean. But actually, if you say that in Mexico, it means to have sex.
Oh, los palos, that's right. Echarse. Yeah. That's funny. But so how would you say in Mexican Spanish, getting, drinking?
Te vas a poner hasta la mother.
That's funny. So true.
Next one would be ratón.
Ratón is hangover. Hangover. Una cruda.
Una cruda, that's right. Pero si tú dices ratón en México, ¿qué te van a pensar que tú estás diciendo?
It's a rat.
It's a rat.
That's true. Ratón is also a rat. So I don't know in slang why, estoy enratonado. I guess, I don't know.
Next word is, vamos a ver aquí, chorro.
Un chorro.
Un chorro.
Un chorro is the faucet of the water coming down. El chorro. Or un chorro also can mean mucho. Like un chorro de...
Ya te estás haciendo mexicana.
Well, I play more Mexicans than I do Venezuelans.
When I was looking all these words up, chorro, they said it was a ladrón or thief.
Choro.
Chorro.
No, because you're rolling the R. So if you're rolling the R, it's chorro, which is what I said, but un choro.
Choro.
Then it's un ladrón.
But it's spelled the same way.
Is it?
I think so.
Huh.
Now you're gonna be like, I'm gonna Google it. Because when I saw that word, I was like, that means ladrón.
Interesting. Yeah, un choro.
And then I was like, well, in Mexico, if you say chorro, you know what that means? In Mexico? Diarrhea.
Oh my God. También un chorro de... Yeah.
Yeah, so when I saw that, I was like, wow.
Yeah. That's amazing, right?
Yeah. It's just crazy. And I seen that in some of your films. So that was pretty much all my questions in my translation game.
Cool. Well, I have one that when I was a kid, growing up in Miami, I would fight with my Cuban friends going, what? Are you kidding me? It's a bus. This is un autobús, no una guagua.
Una guagua.
Guagua. And I remember I would fight with them. And they were like, no, it's not autobús, it's a guagua. I'm like, oh my God. So yeah. It's
o camión.
Camión, o también una camioneta. In Venezuela es la camionetica. And then another one that also growing up I had to learn. You guys call una piscina una alberca.
Alberca.
For us, it's not. I'm like, what is an alberca? What do you mean? You're going to where?
You're going to...
It's so funny. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
So you guys call it piscina?
Piscina. La piscina. Yeah.
What are some words that you've learned being in California? Because I'm pretty sure you learned a lot of Mexican slang.
Pues sí. My gosh. The first one that I remember always is the Padrísimo and the Cuates and La Chamba.
La Chamba.
Chamba. You know, and I really like that. I'm like, chambeando, aquí chambeando, you know?
Keep chambeando. Oh, that is awesome. You know what? I wanted to go back to your films really quick. You played a lot of, I've seen a couple of films where you were like a police officer. Do you think that if you weren't in the film industry, do you think you would ever seen yourself as a police officer?
No, probably not. No. But yes, it was a lot of fun to play a police officer because of my energy naturally. You know, I'm either really, this is me, you know, really energetic, and I like to laugh and smile a lot. So when I got to produce After School with my husband, he was co-directing me, and he's like, "You can't smile as Officer Brooks." I mean,
You have a resting face.
right. And I'm like, so that was the big challenge for me. Because even in my pictures throughout my career, you know, all the series, you know, when the novela starts or when the series starts, everybody's like with the fan and they're like serious.
When you're in General Hospital?
You know, and it's like, you know, they always have that serious look, you know, even in pictures, I'm like, can I just smile? You know, if I'm in the moment, I'm in the scene, I'm not going to smile. Don't worry, you know. But it was really awesome to do that role because in mainstream, I've gotten so close, callbacks and producer sessions to play detectives and to play the authority figure, you know, and it hasn't panned out yet. I know now I've stepped into that authority figure where I believe myself as a cop. I can most definitely play a detective and I can play a cop now with my eyes closed. But like 10 years ago, I didn't believe that I could really fit that. I would go in and do a good job, but my essence was still very soft, you know, more like the nurturing mom and the teacher and the nurse, and you know, those are more the roles that I started with, and the wife, and you know, the immigrant, and so now I've played the politician and the senator, like in Hulu's I can't think of East Los High, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I've Medina, and I just played on How to Get Away with Murder, my first ICE agent, you know. So I know I've stepped into that power of being a powerful woman, that authority figure, and I know I could do it with my eyes closed now. But After School for us, and that's exactly why we produced it, and we wrote that part for me, so that I can really embody it and really experience it. You know,
Yeah.
And yeah, but in my real life, I don't think I'm too much of a scaredy cat. I don't like guns.
Mm. Well, you looked great being a police officer, so it looked real. It looked real. You played the part very well. So
thank you, and you know, and the uniform really helps. That belt, man.
And it gives you that.
Yeah, and it's so heavy. I'm like, wow, a newfound respect to the police officers out there that really are hanging out all day long in those uniforms with all this heavy stuff, you know.
Yeah. Our time is running out, but I want to get one more question that I didn't have on my list here. I want to know a little bit about General Hospital. You did Spanish novelas, and getting into the general market novelas, that's so huge. That is so awesome. ¿Cómo fue que pasó eso?
That was in 2007. That was another one of those amazing moments that I didn't expect, because it was during the writer's strike back in 2007, like right before 2008. there was a huge writer's strike. So then our industry shut down. Like it just was stopped.
I remember that.
Yeah. And then there was writers that came in, they were called scab writers, to continue because the negotiations were just, the strike was going on for too long, and production said, well, we're not going to wait any longer. You guys need to figure it out. In the meantime, they hired other writers, and Mariana Rosa, my character, was born from those stories. And I auditioned. Mark Teschner, he had already hired me in General Hospital like a couple of years before for a guest star. And he brought me in for this. At first I was surprised. I was like, really? I can be on General Hospital with another character? That's pretty cool. Okay, let's go. And she was Venezuelan. So I was so excited to audition for a Venezuelan character because,
you could be you.
Yeah, I mean, it's hardly ever the case. So I auditioned and I went in again, and then they did the chemistry read. And I remember going home. I had such a great time with Rick Herbst in the chemistry read. He was just a dreamboat of a co-star to work with. So loving, so nurturing, so fun. And I was on my way home, actually. That's how fast. When it's fast, it's fast. I was on my way home from the audition, and they called me saying, you booked it. And I remember screaming on the 101.
On the 101. Oh.
It was amazing. And it was, it was going to be for much longer. But then the strike ended. And so then the original writers came back, and slowly they started making their storylines the way they wanted them. And so then they broke us up. But it was a good run. It was amazing. It was such a wonderful experience, and it's a family. I would love to go back to General Hospital at some point. Soaps are a lot of fun, and it's quick. It's like theater. It's like you don't get more than one. If you get 2 takes, that's a lot. If you get 3, that you're like super lucky because it's quick. It's quick. So you rehearse, you block, and then you shoot. And it's fantastic,
And that's one thing about the industry, being at the right place at the right time is so important. Yes. It's a big deal, and it makes a difference.
Absolutely. Sure. Being ready. So going back to, if you want to pursue this, if you want to be an actor, train your mind, train your heart, train your spirit, really have respect for the craft, understand the different mediums, theater, soaps, television, comedies, dramas. They're all different. It's all, the craft of acting is the same, but as an entrepreneur, we're artists, but we're also entrepreneurs. We are our own business.
That's right.
Starting out, you need to have that mindset of I am my own business, and understand how the business works. And that's what we offer at Shortcut to Hollywood.
That is so awesome. Yeniffer, fue una hora de placer, de encanto, de inspiración. Me has inspirado. Me encanta el hecho de que eres bilingüe. Eso no se mira. You really just don't see Latino actors and actresses that actually hits the big screen in the general market as well in the Hispanic market. I mean, very few get the opportunity to do that.
Yes. So,
and I just so admire that. That is so admiring, on so many levels. Y aparte de eso, no nomás eres una actriz, sino una directora. That's another inspiration. It's huge. Being a Latina in Hollywood is two different challenges. Your first challenge is que eres Latina. Eres mujer, So, y otra es de que eres Latina, porque casi, no se ve eso. So, mil respetos, admiraciones para ti. Muchas gracias. I hope that if you ever come to Colorado Springs, you come visit us.
I would love to. Yes, we were thinking of maybe spending the holidays there, so it's a possibility.
Okay, that would be awesome. Me voy a conectar contigo, te voy a mandar un mensaje. Me encantaría quedarme en contacto contigo.
Definitivamente.
Yes.
Sí, absolutely. Esto ha sido un placer para mí y me encanta poder compartir mi historia, mi experiencia, y espero que les haya gustado y los haya inspirado a seguir un sueño que quizás han dejado al lado por un tiempo, pero siempre pueden empezar de nuevo, siempre pueden seguir sus sueños. Entonces,
claro que sí.
Mientras estén vivos, ustedes pueden lograr sus sueños.
Decía mi primer esposo, para todo hay maña en esta vida. Tú puedes hacer todo en esta vida. Y ya cuando dejas de respirar es cuando ya no puedes hacer nada. Mientras tanto, síguele dando.
Hay solución para todo, absolutamente. Yeah.
Claro que sí.
Yeah, and in English, it's not about having resources, it's about being resourceful.
Yes.
From the mouth of the great Tony Robbins, which is one of my mentors. If you have a dream and you put it on the back burner, dust it off and just start one step at a time and really revive it, blow life into it, because as long as you are alive, you can pursue your dreams.
Yes. Yeniffer, te mando un abrazote. Aquí estoy a la orden.
Okay, igualmente, y nosotros aquí en California, en Los Ángeles, Sherman Oaks, aquí estamos también a la orden, okay?
Okay. It's Hispanic Heritage Month, mi gente. Thank every one of you that have joined us. Gracias a todos. To be here with us for Cocktails and Conversation series. Don't forget to check out our other series, such as the On Value Speaker series. We got the Lunch and Learn series, our concert series. We have a reggaeton artist that's going to be coming for November. That's going to be so exciting. And you can get more information at cosconcilio.com. And it's voting season. Woo! No, I'm not talking about electoral votes or anything like that. I'm talking about, don't forget to place your vote for the Colorado Springs Hispanic Chamber's Excelencia Awards. And they're also coming in November, where you can vote for someone who falls under the following categories. We have the Legacy Award, Business Person of the Year Award, Hispanic Business of the Year, and the Hispanic Emerging Businesses of the Year, Rising Professional of the Year. Voting deadline is the 15th of October, so make sure that you make your vote. You can go to cosconcilio.com and make that vote. A special shout out to our sponsors. I want to shout out the Cultural Office of Pikes Peak Region. And they want you to know that October is Arts Month. Besides Hispanic Heritage Month, it's Arts Month. And a big shout out to PepsiCo, Gobin's Business Solutions. They are our strategic partners. Thank you so much. Pikes Peak National Bank. And a big special shout out to Jay Billups Creative Media. And he's the one that's making this whole live stream possible. Thank you so much. My name is Moni from the Colorado Springs Chamber of Commerce.